everybody, welcome to Dakman Productions and welcome to Kinda Hate Rail. In today's video we're going to talk about the Lionel MPC era Preamble Express. Now I did create a video on this piece about 5 years ago, and I wanted to do another video about it because I found some more information on it. There's other things I want to explain about the events and the trains that led up to Preamble Express. But it's just this is just a cool MPC era piece. It's Lionel stock number 6-8568. Now this is a single motored F3 with it's got rubber tires on it instead of magnet traction, so it's a little bit a lower end piece, but it's still cool. I actually got this as a Christmas present. I'm thinking it was right around, it was the early 80s. It was like 1982, 83, 84, somewhere in that time period that I actually got this for a Christmas present as a kid, and basically ran the wheels off of it. So it does have play wear on it from when I was a kid. You know, there's scuffs here, chips there, but still, you know, it's a memory piece that I still have to this day. Put it away in 1988, and then got back in O-Gauge in 2015 and cleaned it up, and I had to put replace the E-unit in it, and other than that, fresh set of rubber traction tires, grease, some maintenance, and it's back up and running. Like I said, I filmed this about 5 years ago. So, a lot of things has happened since I filmed that, or made a video on this 5 years ago. I've shot video of it running on my traditional layout, and now that I have the Lionel Power Master, I can now run it on Kinda Hate Rail. But at the time I shot the video, this was the only, this Preamble Express was the only one that Lionel has done. So since that video, Lionel did come out with the Preamble Express complete set with the correct EMD E9 locomotive and the correct looking 4 cars to go along with it as a set, and the 2020 Volume 2 Lionel catalog, and that set is all scale. When I was a kid, I didn't know anything about the Preamble Express, so I ran it with freight. I still have those same freight cars, believe it or not. So that's how we're going to run it, like I did when I was a kid. So we're going to, I already threw some of my original childhood freight cars on the track to run behind us, and we'll take a look at it. But we'll get this on the track, and we'll talk about the Preamble Express. Alright, so we have the Lionel MPC era Preamble Express, which is an F3A. Anybody who knows anything about the original Preamble Express, it was never an F3A, it was actually an E9. But the Preamble Express actually ran 2 different locomotives, which we'll talk about. So let's go back in time to trains that had passenger cars converted for special display purposes. The very first original American Freedom train, or they called it the Freedom Train, was 1947 to 1949. The Freedom Train had precious documents and other unique treasures, including the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, one of the 13 original copies of the Constitution, the Emancipation Proclamation, the Gettysburg Address, the 2 Iwo Jima flags, the German and Japanese surrender documents that ended World War II, and just had so much more on display on this train. The Freedom Train displayed cargo included a precious original of the Magna Carta written in the year 1215 as the first guarantee of individual rights of Englishmen that a king could not deny. The 1947 to 1949 Freedom Train locomotive was powered by a diesel in the age of steam. The success of the train's Alco PA motive power and a sustained and demanding assignment demonstrated the adaptability of the diesel to all conditions of the track. The PA locomotive proudly carried the number of 1776 and was named the Spirit of 1776. It carried the Alco Builder's number 74696 and was constructed on the date of August of 1947. Lionel did make a scale version of the Freedom Train featuring the Alco PA diesel AA set featuring TMCC, and that stock number is 6-21791. The Lionel Alco PA powered and non-powered units were produced from all new tooling at that point in time, and as I mentioned, featured TMCC and Rail Sounds with Crew Talk, as well as Odyssey. The Freedom Train heavyweight passenger cars in that set featured all new sleeper floor plans, die-cast metal trucks, operating couplers with hidden uncoupling tab, metal frames, interior lighting with on-off switch, opening doors, hand-painted passenger figures, flexible diaphragms between the cars, lighted drum head on the observation car, and the heavyweights were 19 inches in length. Then we fast forward to the next train that had special exhibits, which was the Artrain, which I mentioned in my last video. The Artrain was actually founded in 1971 in the state of Michigan, and it went on a national tour in 1973. While the Artrain was running during that time period, another Freedom Train was planned in 1975 to 1976, this time being called the American Freedom Train. However, the organizers wanted to map out the route that the American Freedom Train would take, and so the Preamble Express was born. In preparation for the bicentennial journeys of the American Freedom Train, the 4-car Preamble Express was dispatched to scout en route and court host city officials. For 5 months in the summer and fall of 1974, the Preamble Express made calls in 48 states. Now, in reality, the Preamble Express was never pulled by an F3A as Lionel showed here in the MPC era. But you gotta remember, this was the fun time era, so they just made paint schemes on the best locomotives they had available at the time. The Preamble Express was actually pulled by 2 different diesel locomotives. Preamble Express locomotive number 2312 was the first locomotive to pull the Preamble Express. This locomotive was a Delaware and Hudson number 2312, earlier numbered 312, and was a U-23B built by GE. Build number 36814 and built in September of 1968. The second locomotive was Preamble Express locomotive number 951. When General Motors became a sponsor of the American Freedom Train, it was clear a GM locomotive should be leading the Preamble Express. The Preamble Express consisted of 4 cars, car number 202, 203, 204, and 205. Now, a lot of people know that I'm a diesel mechanic, so I do get into the mechanics of the diesel locomotive part. So we're going to get into the mechanics of the E9 a little bit. The E9 is a 2,400 horsepower passenger train hauling diesel locomotive built by General Motors of LaGrange, Illinois between April 1954 and January of 1964. 100 cab-equipped A units were produced and 44 cabless B units were produced, all for service in the United States. Now for my favorite part, the powertrain of the locomotive, or as many railroaders would say, the prime mover. So the E9 used 2 12-cylinder 567C diesel engines, which developed a total of 2,400 horsepower. The 567C was a two-stroke 45-degree V-type engine with the roots blower. The 567 actually stood for the displacement of per cylinder. So in this case, each cylinder was 567 cubic inches. 2 DC generators, one per engine, provided power to the 4 motors, 2 on each truck. So that's why the car body on a locomotive is so long, because the locomotive actually had 2 12-cylinder diesel engines. Believe it or not, Amtrak bought 36 E9As and 23 E9Bs from Union Pacific, Milwaukee Road, B&O, and SCL. They used these E9s up until 1979 and converted some E9B units to steam generators or head-end power cars. The Preamble Express locomotive number 951 was originally a Union Pacific unit. In 1974, number 951 was loaned to the sponsors of the American Freedom Train to promote the Bicentennial Tour. The locomotive was returned to Union Pacific after the tour and repainted back to its original traditional yellow in 1978. In 1993, number 951 was rebuilt with modern components by Union Pacific in order to handle bigger trains. Then, of course, after Preamble Express came the American Freedom Train. So there's your highlights of your special trains that had exhibits on them. Now, as I mentioned, when I was a kid, I ran the MPC era Preamble Express with freight cars. As far as I know, Lionel did not have MPC era Preamble Express passenger cars that I know of. Nor have I ran into anything. I'm sure there's other stuff that would be a close match. But I'm going to run this train as I did when I was a kid. It just brings back memories of when I first got it and I had it all these years. So I hope you enjoyed the story of the different exhibit trains that I mentioned, beginning with the Freedom Train, and then moving on to the Artrain, Preamble Express, and then finally the American Freedom Train. And I hope you also enjoyed the run of the Preamble Express from the MPC era of Lionel, and bringing back the memories that I enjoyed in the 80s. It was great seeing this run on the Conahey rail layout through the different scenery. So we'll catch you guys trackside. Goodbye.